All right, everybody. We're live. So as you can see, I've kind of switched things up. We don't have just a static image in the background. You're going to notice an obnoxious link, a donation shilling link on the top of the video. And this is because YouTube Super Chats are, well, they're very stingy. They take 30% to sometimes 40% of whatever you guys would send me. And since last time, I was pretty surprised to receive 15 bucks. I don't think anybody who sent that money wanted 30% to be scraped up by Google, since I'm relatively certain most people watching aren't very happy with Google. So if you want to donate, by all means just use the bit.ly link instead. That will take you to a direct to PayPal donation, which means, yeah, a no good enemy corporation, I guess you could say, is scraping a little off, but it is far less in comparison to Google with its 30% fee for Super Chats. Anyway, guys, we don't have that many people on this time. I'm hoping to get some more people into the stream. I have a feeling that this hasn't notified my subscribers, because last time we were very easily able to get up to around 15, then 20, then 30 viewers, and currently we're stagnating around 3, which isn't the best. So I'm going to properly start once we get a decent amount of people into the live stream. Until then, you can go ahead and just ask questions as usual. I'm going to be sharing around the link to people I know, to places where people might be interested in watching, and hopefully we can get the same audience we had a couple days ago. Oh, oops, you're going to hear me. I accidentally clicked on the video. Again, we're very unprofessional here. Anyway, guys, I have a few topics in mind for today's stream. Oh, night vision. Look, I don't know much about night vision. I just know it's ridiculously expensive, Jim. It can cost anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000. You do not want to waste your money then. If you're going to put down thousands of dollars for night vision, you should get the best that you can buy. And there's plenty of autists here on YouTube and on the internet in general who have probably written up and produced long explanations of every single night vision model and how it works. I'll tell you one thing, the higher the gen, the better. Earn your way to the top survival? Yes, I agree. It's better to buy night vision than a bunch of guns, because the fact of the matter is that most people, if shit were to hit the fan, if there were to be a situation that requires you to grab your rifle, it's likely that the men you're going to meet with already have rifles. So if you have spare rifles, sure, you can give them away. You can say, here bud, here's my rifle. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be an excess of rifles, especially in America. There's not going to be an excess of night vision. Night vision is going to be very, very rare. Night vision is going to be available to professional militaries. So in a martial law or civil war scenario, night vision is going to be used by the military or the police. And if you're not on their side for whatever reason, it could be pretty bad to die in the middle of the night because they can see you and you can't see them. Hello, welcome James. Welcome to the stream. By the way, guys, do tell me if the stream quality in any way sort of stutters, because right now it's at like red health. But that didn't seem to be a problem last time. Since we're going to be using a web browser, it might be more of a concern this stream. I don't know. I'm no expert. Okay, I'm going to see if anybody else is going to join. I just really have a feeling that most of my subscribers weren't notified. Maybe 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock when I did the last one might be better. Seems like we amassed an audience a little faster with that. That is true, Jim. It does depend on the situation. If it is a civil war, chaos, well, not necessarily chaos, but organized chaos, where people are fighting for partisan political reasons, you might not have to worry about looters as much. But if it's societal collapse, Ted K's wet dream, then yes, you're going to have to worry about looters. You're not going to have time to figure out the ideology of the guy who wants to steal your steaks. You're just going to have to shoot him. He might have been based and red-pilled, but you're going to have to kill him if he's trying to steal your steaks. At the end of the day, you don't want to lose your steaks. James, thermals, yeah, I mean, all of this stuff is good. If you can afford it, if you can have it, it's good in that type of situation. IR is, well, IR can be seen if you have night vision. IR can enhance a lot of night vision. Low-gen night vision can be enhanced with IR. You can get $40 to $100 Czech NVGs that are attached to a tanker helmet. I got a pair from Sportsman Guide, and you got to jury rig them up with 9-volt batteries. They don't really work too well because they were meant to be used with an IR light, and IR light being projected from the tank because these are tank crewmen. So if you jury rig an IR light with those cheap, not even Gen 1, like Gen 1/2 NVGs, you might be able to see a little bit in front of you. But at the end of the day, it's a novelty. It's not really going to do you too good. IR lasers are cool, but very expensive. And at the end of the day, if somebody else has night vision, they can see your lasers. Yeah, Sportsman Guide is a really good stop for military surplus, and I will just go ahead and shill them right now because they have a ton of good deals. In their military surplus section. I mean, if you want to buy Milsurp, look at these guys first, because at the end of the day, they're so big that their prices are cheap. Let me just show you an example of what I mean. Let's say you want Flecktarn, because Flecktarn's cool, right? You can get a Flecktarn shirt for $10.79 here. Now, let's go somewhere else. Let's go somewhere ran by somebody who, you might know of this website if you browse a certain a board. So if we go to commandostore.com, ran by Ivan, he might have some Flecktarn for sale. If he doesn't, I'll just give you the price that he was charging for his Flecktarn, but it was way higher than $10.79. Now, this isn't all his fault. It's, he's a smaller guy. It costs him more to get this this surplus. But yeah, at the end of the day, look at this. It's 20 bucks. It's double what you could get it for at Sportsman Guide. And a while back, I bought 4 Flecktarn shirts for 20 bucks. And honestly, I don't think that they are lower quality than what Ivan is selling here. Ivan is, unfortunately, he's basically just he's a merchant, okay? He is appealing to an audience, K, saying, hey, look, I'm with you guys. Buy from me instead. And then no wonder all of his prices are jacked up, and he wants $300 for boots or whatever. Oh, yeah, that was a while ago. I forget when that deal was active. Yeah, Sportsman Guide even sells, and this is pretty crazy, but let's say you wanted to get a ceramic plate. The only problem is they don't give you the information. They probably will ship to Canada, Brandon, as long as you don't put in any magazines or ammunition or firearms. But I wouldn't know. I don't live in Canada. As you can see, this is a UN Kevlar vest. Now, if you wear this when shit hits the fan, you're going to get shot by everybody. But at the end of the day, it's only 130 bucks, and it comes with a ceramic front plate. Now, ceramic front plate, that could be really good. But they don't tell you what level it is. They don't tell you anything about the specs of that plate. It could be a soft plate, or it could be something that stops rifle rounds. Now, since it's ceramic, I imagine it was made to stop rifle rounds. But you can't know. You can't know. They give you very little information. They're like, this isn't for protection, this is for collection. Whatever. They have a bunch of cool stuff here. I don't even know what category this is in. It's in military field gear. You have to go in here to find this stuff. But Sportsman Guide is a good stop. If you're not going to go on Sportsman Guide, there's Vera Stuleka, but I probably said that wrong. They're Finns, so they're a little more expensive because of the shipping if you live in America. But other than that, their prices are very similar to Sportsman Guide in the sense that they have cool stuff. They're always getting cool stuff, and it's cheap because they're a big company. And for these smaller websites, you can't really get that. They're spending more, and in the case of Ivan, he's basically banking on the fact that I want to buy from Based K. K Ivan, he's from K. I browse K. I gotta buy from him. No, you don't. You don't have to do that. Don't let yourself get chewed. Here's a Boomer website. This is the SWAT shop. This is where I purchased a Rode Original. As you can see, it's incredibly Boomer. This site is antique. It's ancient. You know, this is something that somebody could make in Dreamweaver in like a day. You know, a student could make this. But whatever, it has some charm. If we check out, where's uniforms? He has a bunch of insignia, but he does have uniforms. And you can see he's got Foreign Legion, French Foreign Legion, right? And he has Great Britain, Lesotho, Namibia, Portugal, Rhodesia. Wow, look at that. As you can see, he sold the 2 shirts. I bought one of these. They were much cheaper than this shirt. And as you can see, his watermark, his watermark is a little poorly applied. But there's something admirable about this, you know, the boomer computer skills. I appreciate it. But this is a good place to look if you want something that's, I guess, authentic, because it is, and you don't want to go on eBay. eBay is a good place to look too. Yeah, where do you find Rhodesian short shorts? I don't think they sell any short shorts here, but you can get some camo trousers. As you can see, they're going to have some wear. These are from the 70s and the 60s. The thing with the RLI is they normally didn't wear shorts like this, or they didn't take their trousers and cut them up. Maybe some of them did. Most of them just wore normal short shorts, and they wore their camo shirts, or maybe they didn't even wear the camo. They might just wear a t-shirt. And there were some Rhodesian t-shirt manufacturers who were not participating, but producing Rhodesian camouflage t-shirts during the Bush War, which were popular. We've all seen the pictures of these guys barely wearing anything marching through the jungle. It's very admirable. It's very admirable. We're kind of talking about the opposite here. I'm showing you places to buy body armor and telling you to get night vision. When these guys were, you know, doing pretty well without any of that, and only 100 rounds on them to boot if they were using the FAL. I imagine the SAS and some of the Special Forces units were probably stacked with magazines. Most of them were using AKs and RPDs and what the enemy was using for multiple reasons. But your normal Rhodesian light infantry guys going into battle with 100 rounds, you know, 20-round box magazines of 308, and he's getting the job done. And it's always impressive, because even we, you know, in Vietnam, we immediately switched over to the M16, but it was kind of the same fight where you have that 20-round 308. You're not able to carry that much ammunition, at least not as much as somebody with an M16 or with an AK-47, and you end up getting outgunned. Yeah, that is true. Body armor can be a lifesaver. It can be a real lifesaver. A lot of people underestimate it, but there's plenty of videos. We can find a famous video if we just go to YouTube, and we go and we look up. Oh man, this is my shitpost account, by the way, as you can tell. And I'm going to go and look up AK-47 bulletproof test. You guys have all seen this, I'm imagining. But it's these Italian guys, and here they are. They're using bulletproof vests. They're getting shot right up there, close and personal. They don't even react. Now, obviously, if you were to be shot with an AK-47 with this armor on in a gunfight, you would probably get knocked on your ass because you're reacting to it. It's like if somebody pinches you, you're going to react, even though the pinch is minuscule. It's just a pinch. When you get shot by a rifle and you're wearing body armor, you're going to react. You're going to fall on your ass. That's you. But if you know it's coming, you can take it. There's a video of a guy taking an FAL 308 to the chest. James Dustin man, let me tell you, it was my shitpost YouTube account. I share it with Frood. If you look at the title, it is it has Frood in it too. We both use that account. Anyway, that's what this Firefox browser is set to. I'm not using my Chrome browser because I'm using that for the stream. I'm using that for some other stuff. This is a very ghetto setup. I'm not used to streaming yet. The point is that even though you're going to get knocked on your ass if you get shot by a guy with a rifle, even if you're wearing the best plate ever, you're not going to die. You're going to avoid a very painful injury. And frankly, it's better to have it than not to have it. Now, if you're expecting, well, James, I'll tell you this much. Weight is the big issue of body armor, and I was just gonna segue into this. So thank you for bringing it up. But basically, I have a buddy in the Marines. He doesn't like going out with his body armor unless it's a situation that kind of mandates it. If you are in an engagement and you're shooting at somebody who is thousands of meters away, very far away, body armor isn't really necessary. Now, if you're in close quarters, if you're fighting close up and personal, at a range where it is likely you could get hit, you should wear body armor. But dragging and hauling around heavy body armor when you're not really in a situation where it's going to be useful, yeah, that is definitely a negative effect. But yeah, earn your way to the top survival is right. It's not that heavy. The thing is that added weight when you're wearing kit, you gotta account for it all. Because at the end of the day, even if the body armor, wearing just the body armor, it's not that heavy. You're also carrying magazines. You're also carrying grenades. You're also carrying all of these things on your person, and it's just going to weigh you down. And as you're moving over long distances, the less weight, the better. Simply put. A 75-pound bug-out bag. Yeah, pack running is a really good idea. My buddy in the Marines does pack running, and he has a lot of good things to say about it because of just how, I don't know, it's a physically enhancing thing. You know, you're running around with that much weight. Running in itself is already a great exercise. You're just adding on to it. You're kind of doubling it. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about is a few things, if you can tell by the stream title, which is, or wait, did I even change the stream title? I don't think I did. But I think I put Hoffman and something else. 3 other things, I imagine. Do I run? Yeah, I'm working on my mile. I'm working on my 2 and 3 miles too. That's one of the things I need to do before I get into the military. I've yet to start pack running because it's the winter. And when the weather gets better, I might. But it's, even with the weather, the neighborhood I live in, I wouldn't want to pack run in without being armed. I wouldn't want to run in without being armed. It's just not necessarily a good neighborhood. And at this point, I cannot legally carry something for the defense of my person other than a pocket knife. It's not that bad here. Do you open carry as you run? I mean, that would be based and red-pilled. But if you live in an urban environment, the police are going to harass you. If you're open carrying as a white man, you're going to turn black to a policeman, basically. Yes, Jim. Yes, if you didn't remember from the last stream, I think I mentioned I'm in Pennsylvania. I agree, Daniel. I think open carry is actually the best type of carry. And it's a very simple argument to make. You're walking down the street. A potential thief, a potential mugger is eyeing you up. He notices you have a gun on your waist. Why is he going to mug you when he can just go and try and mug somebody who doesn't have a gun on their waist? If everybody has a gun on their waist, well, I don't think there's going to be many muggings. If you're concealed carrying a gun, you might get mugged even though you have a gun. And all of a sudden you're put in a situation where you might have to kill somebody. And while the mugger definitely has it coming, concealed carry laws, you know, I think you should be able to carry a gun on your person however you like, but a society that enables you to carry your weapons openly and for nobody to basically bat an eye at it, for it to be a common, regular, normal thing, you're not going to have as many violent crimes. I mean, certainly you're going to have violent crimes still occur, and they might be enhanced by the presence of firearms, but I don't care about statistics. I don't care about anything like that. At the end of the day, well, if we're going to talk statistics, it's better for there to be 30 gun deaths than 200 knife deaths. Whatever. That's a whole different can of worms. So what's it like to want to die for Israel? Look, I'm not in the U.S. military yet, John Eugen. Brandon, I live in Pennsylvania. I live in America. "13 times running in your area, you've been robbed, Dustin. That's crazy." I'd say there's definitely a possibility of a civil war in the country. It depends on two things. It depends on political polarization and divide, which exists, but it also depends on whether or not people are sedated and docile. If they're sedated and docile, it doesn't matter how angry we get at each other. It doesn't matter how many people get into brawls in the street at protests. Nothing's actually going to come of it because you need more than a tiny minority. And even that tiny minority, they go to a march or they shitpost on the internet, and then they're done. They're done. That's all they have to do. That's all they're going to contribute. And yes, Daniel, E. Michael Jones, definitely watch him. I agree with that statement. That will get shilled. I will shill that for you. I will shill E. Michael Jones. I'll also shill Michael Hoffman. We'll be looking into his book in a few minutes here. But in terms of... Oh, yeah, Brandon, that's a good point. That's a good point. The problem is that when it comes to a potential happening, a potential collapse, a catalyst, if you will, for that type of situation, you would have to have something where things kind of boil over. And the only moment I can see that happening is with the upcoming 2020 election, because 2016 was bad. 2020 is going to be worse. Trump has been in office for 4 years. He hasn't really got anything done. That's both because he's Trump. That's also because the entirety of Congress, almost the entirety, both Republican and Democrat, is going after him and is preventing everything that he wants to do. So it's been very hard for him to get anything done. Plus, his daughter married that Jared Kushner, which is kind of ruining things for him. I mean, his entire administration is not what people voted for. And I don't necessarily think that, we've been entirely duped. It's just that when you vote one guy who has the right ideas into a system, when you make that guy the president, it doesn't matter. He might be the president, but there's all these other people, and if they're determined enough, they're going to stand in his way. He isn't going to get anything done. But anyway, it doesn't matter how effective he's been. The fact that he's been in office, people on the left have just been going crazy, and they overreact to almost everything that he does. They're living in this perpetual anger and outrage. They think they're part of a resistance. And when the 2020 election comes around, they're going to be more fierce and more crazy than ever. And the problem is, it doesn't matter really how nuts they get. It's not going to be covered. And it's going to be very hard to get the message out. It doesn't matter how many times we get hit or we get, attacked or assaulted, whatever. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. But the moment we strike back, very easy to frame us as the bad guys. And when I say us, I mean just generally the dissident right, okay? There's a bunch of people in this very, very shoddy, very fragile coalition. You have everybody from people like me to, guys who are living in their truck, like Earn Your Way to the Top Survival. That's very good on him. You have a plethora of individuals who fall on this side in American society. And, the left has it too. They have they have their own sect that is evolving. And really, we're reaching a point where both of these I guess you could call them, I don't know, rallying points, central beliefs. People who are normally in the middle and normally happy with arguing as part of the status quo are being pushed towards these extremes, and that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, I don't necessarily know if it's going to actually explode. It requires a lot for that to happen. Now, 2020, it's all up in the air. Hopefully it will be amusing. Hopefully it will be entertaining. Who knows what will happen. Hello, Game Central. Welcome. John Nuyugan, yes, Zionism is a big issue in the American government. It's always been an issue. Frankly, it is something that needs to be talked about. And Michael Hoffman, whose book I have right here, if you can see, he's written about, the issue of Zionism, and he's examined and looked at Judaism as a historical, religion. And again, Michael Hoffman isn't going to throw any Jews in any ovens anytime soon. But just the mere fact that he's applying a magnifying glass, as we all know, these types of insults and not insults, but these labels are weaponized in the sense that it doesn't matter if you're left-wing or right-wing. If you criticize Israel, if you criticize Zionism, you are an anti-Semite. They labeled that crazy Somali Muslim woman in Congress an anti-Semite because she has bad things to say about Israel. It's funny. This is the point where members of the extreme left and the extreme right can shake hands, and we can have a little bit of camaraderie here, because we both don't like Israel and we both don't like Zionism. Because it's very obvious once you detach yourself from the status quo, once you stop caring about the labels of anti-Semite, once you realize that it doesn't matter that you have like the Holocaust, that doesn't excuse Zionism, that doesn't legitimize the Israeli state. It doesn't. It frankly doesn't. But the point is that it's so easy to see when you look at it. We give them so much money, and at the end of the day, what has it done but got us intertwined in the Middle East in ways that are just completely unproductive? They're profitable for certain interests, but for the average American, they're not profitable. So many tax dollars are being wasted there. Tax dollars are just being wasted in general. Ridiculous how government bureaucracy shreds money. It's absurd. It's really absurd. Government bureaucracy, government-funded institutions can afford to just throw money away. And that's what they do, and that's what senators and congressmen sign bills to. You vote for them, and they vote to take a chunk of your paycheck and put it towards things that just do not matter to you on a individual level. And sure, there's a lot of diehard neocons and diehard Protestants in America, or evangelicals, whatever you want to call them, who have been taught that, God protects Israel, and, the Jews are all very cool, and if we don't protect Israel, we'll be cursed. It's like we have been protecting the Israeli state, quote-unquote Israel, since its inception, and our society has only been on the downfall since then. So if God is cursing us, he's cursing us because we're propping up this state. And I wouldn't even care if Israel was this, perfect, do no bad state in the Middle East just getting bullied by all those mean Arabs. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that we waste so much money and we shouldn't be involved and invested there. And, this is I'm kind of a broken record right now, and I'm sure you all have heard this. This is very basic stuff. This is a revelation that most of us probably reached several years ago. Thank you, John Nugent. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, with these live streams, it's going to be much easier to talk about things openly. For one, the titles are not going to be immediately obvious what's going to entirely be discussed. So I will get less flack here than I would making a detailed video on something. But you know what? Who cares? Eventually, why should I keep bowing and bending the knee and trying to police what I'm going to talk about and discuss on a YouTube channel, worrying that I'm going to get banned? I'm not going to get banned. I will get banned when my channel is huge. That's what happens. Or if I start talking about certain topics, like Sandy Hook. If I talk about that, yeah, I'll get banned. If I'm very stupid, I'll get banned. But if I keep doing what I'm doing right now, I'll get banned when my channel's huge. If it ever gets huge, it probably won't. But if my channel were to get huge, yeah, they would probably axe me. Or maybe they wouldn't axe me. But it's likely they would axe me. But by then, who cares? Who cares? I can just move wherever I want. I can make another channel. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Bob's Town Trees. Your dad got shot in his ammo magazine vest in Afghanistan. The M16 magazine stopped the round. Yeah, there's tons of stories of magazines and even Bibles, books, stopping a bullet. Bullets aren't that hard to stop. And yeah, they can be stopped by something as simple as a magazine. It depends on the situation, the round, the distance, all this math nerd stuff that I'm not qualified to talk about. But it's a very cool story, man. I hope I do not get shot anytime soon, or ever for that matter. I'd prefer not to be shot. And, you know, the Die for Israel jokes, they're very funny, guys. But I'm not going into the military for a combat role. So I doubt I will be dying for Israel anytime soon. Now, I might die for Israel, meaning the church, not the Zionist state that exists in occupied Palestine. But that's a whole different topic. Yeah, the USS Liberty, yeah, it's pretty clear. It's blatant. More people should look into it. It's a very eye-opening situation. It's something that is very obvious when you look at it. I mean, just the fact that it occurred, it's kind of something, it's kind of like other cases that you can look at, like the Epstein case. If you look at the Epstein case, Epstein was able to basically buy his way out, plea his way out of, what, 30 underage rapes? He was trying to plea his way out of it and, you know, go for community service for a couple years and not even be registered as a sex offender. Meanwhile, this guy is raping children after they give him massages in his home. Like, this is blatant. You know, in a sane society, this man would be executed. He would be killed. But we live in an insane society. We live in an insane society in the sense that we know of all these people who do these wicked, wicked things, but they're allowed to walk, and they're allowed to live, and they're allowed to live way better than any of us. Epstein, you know, after all this controversy, and I'm pretty sure he does have to serve a prison sentence, but when he gets out of that, it's basically a slap on the wrist if you consider the crimes that he's committed. And he will be perfectly able to continue that lifestyle if he wants. Am I going to vote Pat Little or Richard Spencer this election year? Okay, if I had to pick between Patrick Little or Richard Spencer, because I know a little bit about both of them, I would have to go with Patrick Little. Richard Spencer, in my opinion, is just, he is very stupid. He's unlikable to a certain degree. I mean, he has that base charisma. There's a reason that people know about him. There's a reason that he gives speeches. But he's very out of touch. He does not represent basically anybody in the dissident right, or as he calls it, the alt-right. You know, Dickie is, he's an interesting case. He's basically a pseudo-intellectual. He's banging a liberal Satanist girl now, which is, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird, man. It's really weird. He's a weird guy. Voted 300 times illegally for Little Dicky in the mail. Patrick Little at least has balls. Richard Spencer doesn't have balls. The reason that you can know that Dickie doesn't have balls is because when he got punched by that guy, the guy who was involved in those like fetish porn videos, like the guy was completely nuts in the brain. Very relatively small in stature guy, pathetic looking guy. That guy punches Dickie Spencer in the face. And what does Richard do? He just gets punched. Why didn't you punch back? Why didn't you fight back? No balls, no balls. I do not know Ryan Donson, Jim. Daniel, I do recognize that name, Nat Danelaw. I've talked with the guy. I haven't talked to him in maybe 3 years, though. 3 or 4 years. These are interesting topics. I mean, they're old topics. It's like 2017, 2018, back towards 2015 and 2016. It's a while ago, but it's still interesting. Politics are kind of frivolous. They're kind of pointless. At the same time, they are a vehicle that has to be used. You have to make some sort of movement. You got to get people together. Maybe Earn Your Way to the Top can sell everybody on the Anti-Root Collective. Maybe that can be the rallying banner. That's an issue with the modern world. In the past, people would make parties, and you'd join those parties, and those parties would get big. You'd have a few small parties that would die out because of how small they are. Nowadays, it just happens forever. There's never a large party, other than what's been established by the system and preserved by the status quo. It's very hard to make your own movement because there's going to be a bunch of people in it who they're not going to just submit to your authority. They're going to go make their own thing. And purity spiraling is a good thing in some degrees. I don't think that we should have alliances with people that are very clearly... these people shouldn't be in any sort of movement that we would advocate. But you can't go all the way, and you can't make it so that your allies are reduced to 4 guys that are scattered around your state. You have to create a platform that doesn't appease but appeals. Oh no, not that, James Dustin. I might have explained to you guys what I think would be necessary. It's militancy, but that doesn't mean violence. That means nonviolent. What I mean by militancy is the left-wingers in America, both mainstream and dissident left-wingers, people who are, tanky posting as we speak on Twitter or Discord or whatever, and probably masturbating to their boyfriends. But these guys, all of them, they're able to go out on the street and be militant and kick down garbage cans and wear masks and have these signs that are just vulgar and profane. And, the homosexuals can go out basically nude and just put on this display of vice and sin for everybody to see, right? So they're able to do that, and they get away with it. Now, why do we not do that? Oh, because we wouldn't get away with it. We'd get doxxed. We'd get imprisoned, maybe. We'd get shut down. Well, who cares? Go do it. You have to do it. Because if you don't do it, and you just want to jump forward, flash forward to pretending that, you're some hardcore guerrilla fighting a, just war. Well, look, man, you have to be ostracized and pushed into a corner first. You have to say, look, we try to participate in this democracy. We try to have a movement just like the other movements. We try to do just what they were doing. We even restrained ourselves a little bit, but we were doing what everybody else was doing, yet you came after us, not them. Why? Why? And because you came after us and not them, well, then maybe we have to do something that isn't necessarily promoted by the democratic process, right? That's how you get legitimacy to a movement. You have to have martyrdom. And I talked about this in the last stream. It's mandatory to go to UN peacekeeping. Oh, I wouldn't want to do that. I don't want to be a blue helmet. There was a guy stockpiling roids. Also, John Nugent. I feel that the SSPX is about as close as Catholicism as you can get. Sure, all the other Latin Mass societies are very good. And, I go to a Byzantine Rite church, and they're very good too. But if you want to guarantee that your priest is going to be a good priest, go to the SSPX. That's what I would suggest. Firstly, you want a good liturgy, then you want a good priest. Yeah, Ireland has unfortunately fell to what everybody else has fell to. I mean, look at the abortion referendum. They voted for abortion. This is one of the most Catholic nations on earth, and the church is unable to do anything about it. There was a priest. He was giving a homily. He was saying, look, you can't vote for abortion as a Catholic. You can't support this. And people walked out of the church. They got very angry at the priest. Then why are you in the church? Why are you there if you're going to support something like abortion? This kind of shows how the church has failed us. In better times, all this talking about trying to make a movement and trying to do things and trying to do what, let's say, the left is doing, trying to meet them and trying to participate in what is essentially a culture war, a political war that they're instigating, the church would be spearheading this. The Knights of Columbus would be organizing militant marches, but instead we get, what, the March for Life? Where it's all naive and watered down, and we're going to conquer abortion with love, and, it's a message that, sure, appeals to some people, appeals to a good amount of people, but is a very naive message. And at the end of the day, the person in the middle ground looks at the pro-life people at the March for Life and says, oh, they're nice people. And they look at the counter-protesters holding all these vulgar, profane signs, or feminine with their boobs out, and they don't really care too much. Yeah, sure, they're crazy, but at the end of the day, they're going to vote very moderate anyway. You don't win people to your side by being naive and moderate. You have to be extreme. The point is that the church is so subverted and so infiltrated by a mix of communists and homosexuals. They overlap, of course. And it's just been so diverted since Vatican II, and even earlier than Vatican II, that it's really been failing the faith, and it's been failing the faithful. The Knights of Columbus it's a fraternal group, basically. They don't do much other than act as a social club nowadays, but you're talking about your typical community service that any sort of organization should do, usually with the Knights of Columbus. Really, we need new organizations and new institutions. We need to have this situation, right, where, for example, the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts have been turned gay, okay? They allow gay Boy Scout troop leaders, and they allow women in the Boy Scouts. But there's the Girl Scouts, but you can have women in the Boy Scouts now. You can have little girls in the Boy Scouts and teenage girls in the Boy Scouts. What that means is that when they had the big, not international, but national Boy Scouts meetup, they said, oh no, we're going to have to provide condoms for these kids. Because there's girls and boys now, at this camp, and there's tents everywhere, and there's a bunch of people, so, oh, we're going to hand out condoms. What? What in God's name happened to the Boy Scouts? Instead of teaching your kid how to chop down a tree, getting your badge for being a amateur lumberjack, you get your badge for getting gonorrhea from that girl in the other troop. You got crabs. Here's your patch. Here's your badge. That's the modern Boy Scouts. So we need a new youth organization. Maybe when I'm older, I'll do something like this. And just do what the Boy Scouts were doing, without the pause. Teach kids how to, go out in the wild. Take them on camping trips. Show them how to utilize firearms. The Boy Scouts used to be seen as a paramilitary organization, a paramilitary youth organization by leftists, They didn't like it. And now it's just another tool of neoliberalism, of the system. Yeah, I agree. I go hunting and I go shooting with my dad, with my family. That's a big thing. When you guys have kids, when you guys have kids, you got to do things with them, okay? You got to give them opportunities that you might not have had. It's kind of your responsibility as a parent. Ignore my cat, by the way. He's agitated that my father left the apartment. So he's going to be the guest co-host. Because he will continue to meow until the man returns home. That's crazy, Game Central. But it's not surprising when they're letting homosexuals be the leader of Boy Scout troops. We have a cat here because the apartment's so small that it wouldn't suit a dog. We don't have a yard. Yeah, I know, thumbs down. I agree. I don't like the urbanite existence. And I will be getting away from it as soon as humanly possible. It's not fun. It's very limiting. Again, you live in an urban shithole. You have to go to a gym to work out. Not saying there's anything wrong with gyms, but you're forced into that situation. Because if you go and run and do things outside of your house, you might get mugged. You might get attacked. Because urban areas are usually shady. But if you live in the suburbs, or more than the suburbs, if you live out in the country, you don't have any worry about that. You can go running nude. And nobody's going to see you. Nobody's going to care. I don't own a car. You're on your way to the top. Yeah, I do not own a car. And it's my father's apartment. So I'm not the one paying the rent. Again, I'm in a temporary living and employment situation until I join the military. That's basically the summary of my present situation. That sounds very freeing. Nude with a shotgun, running around. I should go and, I'd go and have the full kit and run around with the full kit, and it would be an interesting, very LARPy exercise, but that's something that you can't do if you live in the city. The East Timor War. Indonesian Muslim troops. I don't know much about the East Timor War. I will put it on my list. I do know about, the fact that there is Islam in Southeast Asia. Oh yeah, the cat is going at it. Again, I need to get a better microphone, one that maybe shuts this stuff out, but at the moment, that's not really foreseeable. Microphones are expensive, and even when they're expensive, I'm no expert with microphones. So guys, let's talk a little bit about Michael Hoffman here. He wrote this book, Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare. And Michael Hoffman's a very interesting character in the way he writes. This book was written in, I think, 1999 or 2000. 1 year before September 11th, so you don't really see anything about this. But the thing with Michael Hoffman is he puts some crucial concepts to understanding the behind-the-scenes nature of the present system that really kind of clicks in when you see it. So the first thing I'm going to go to is I'm going to go to this chapter because this is about revelation of the method. Michael Hoffman, I don't know if he's Catholic. He's Christian. He's written about usury, the sin that was and is now not. And he's written about Vatican II and other things. I haven't read much of that. I know he is some type of Christian, though. Anyway, here is, I'm going to read a few excerpts from Michael Hoffman. We might jump around. I haven't planned this out, but I'm just going to read a bit. It is here necessary to point out a fallacy which has succeeded in defeating many genuine ecological rebels against modern tampering and the occult philosophy and organization which powers it. These are a rare breed to begin with, since the vast majority of researchers who start out in search of the truth about these big themes end, like so many avant-garde thinkers and activists, succumbing to the egregious tyranny and mind-napping that lurks beneath the facade of the liberal occult operation. But a few escape this net only to blunder blindly into another. They become trapped in the fallacy that exposure of the methods and personnel involved in the cryptocracy, maybe I'm pronouncing that right, the cryptocracy's crimes is by itself a tremendous step towards overthrowing the power of the cryptocracy. If only we could get some of the facts out in the open, is their refrain. I would reply that the process of hermetic cryptocracy is not stagnant. It is engaged in a remarkable project set into motion millennia ago, an operation which has accomplished most, if not all, of its chief goals with masterful dispatch. In the beginning and middle stages of the operation, the hoodwink was a key to accomplishment of objectives. Generally speaking, deception is far less necessary today. Quite the contrary. The cryptocracy has actually been determined to reveal many of its greatest secrets to us profane ones for some time now. Veteran independent occult investigators were astonished at the massive disclosure in the 1970s of some of the deepest and most profound secrets of the Masonic Neoplatonic Hermetic Academy, secrets reserved in some cases for thousands of years for only the highest initiates. So what Michael Hoffman is talking about here, remember, this guy has been around for a lot longer than some of us. I know there's a few old guys in the chat, which is great. But he's talking about something that happened in the 70s. What you notice today is that when you bring up Masonry, when you bring up occultism, when you bring up Illuminati, it's dismissed by the fact that, you know, this stuff is in the open. The History Channel has documentaries about the Freemasons. Who cares, you know? It's out in the open. It's not really a secret society. It's just a society now. And it's just like how if you start talking about Israel and Zionism, you get called an anti-Semite. It's just a way of dismissing the topic and dismissing the discussion. So whenever you talk about Masonry, occultism, the occult philosophy that kind of exists in the ruling class, it's dismissed as, well, who cares, you know? It's out in the open. We know about these things. It's just a tactic of dismissing it, right? Is that they've shown us this because they know at this point we won't care. If they would have revealed their belief and their teachings and were very open about it back in like 1600s, they would have been killed. They would have been killed in mass, okay? They wouldn't have survived. But now they're at a point where they've established things like the bogus freedom of religion, right? Where we're supposed to be perfectly fine with Baphomet statues and the like, which is ridiculous. Anyway, let me go on and find some other segments. But yeah, as he's talking about these books that revealed what Freemasons believe in, which we know all about now, they were approved by the Masons. It wasn't a leak. It was something that they allowed. Exposure itself does not defeat the cryptocracy, because given the degraded and atrophied nature of modern man's perceptions and insight today, such revelations may only serve to strengthen the cryptocracy's mental hold. See, look, he says, the record shows that the recent revelations of occult crime are almost never accompanied by arrests, prosecutions, convictions, and punishment of the initiates involved. Hence, the reputation of the cryptocracy's invincibility is heightened by the revelations. So what Hoffman is saying here, more beautifully than I could ever say it, is he's saying that when we're finding out about these things, like we are right now, and we're talking about them right now, are we helping overthrow the cryptocracy? Are we helping end the crimes and bring justice to the victims of the crimes that we're discussing? No! We're empowering them. We're consenting because we know about them and yet we allow them to happen, right? We know that Epstein was raping kids, right? And he's going to get off with this slap in the wrist. He must be very surprised that it even got to the courts, that he even got in legal trouble. And even though it has got to the legal system has to say something, he's going to get a slap on the wrist. And you got thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who know all about Epstein, about the horrible things that he's done, You have all these victims talking about it. And what do we do? What do we do? We just let them go, basically. We let the system punish somebody who is enabled by the system, somebody who is a part of the system. It's like if somebody commits a crime and you say, hey, what are you going to do about it? Create your own punishment. That's basically what was happening with the plea dealing involving Epstein, and Epstein is only one example. But the point is that by talking about these things purely, we don't accomplish much. If you want to accomplish something, if you want to bring justice, you have to do something. And what does that start with? It starts with militancy. Like I said, it starts with being a movement that cannot be ignored. And if it is ignored, and if it is persecuted, and if it is the subject of doxing and unemployment and arrests, and, you know, tons of people try to ruin your life because you're a part of this political movement, that is how you start making progress. And that's how you force the hand of the system to push you into a corner and to push themselves into a corner, because everybody knows that any serious turmoil in the United States or Europe, and by serious turmoil, I mean very, very serious, if that were to erupt, the entire global economy would collapse. So you don't even have to use violence. Using violence is stupid in some ways when you're not in a position where it is justifiable. You can force that situation in other ways. The problem is that is the inevitable situation that we'd be in if we were active participants in some sort of serious militant political movement, is that we would get pushed into a corner where all of a sudden we do have to do things that are not part of the democratic process. But the important part is getting pushed into that corner and pushing them into that corner and pushing the situation into a corner. I've said corner a lot. But I think you guys understand the point. You're right, Daniel. Contraception has definitely had a negative effect on Masons. It's had a negative effect on the world. We can talk a little about contraception and fornication. Women's liberation, the sexual revolution. The sexual revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. There's my thesis. I don't think anybody's going to question me on that in the chat. But we're here to talk about things, so I'll talk about it. Contraception takes an act like sex, which has results that used to be relatively guaranteed. Of course, not every time somebody would have sex, the woman would get pregnant, but there was a chance, and it was common enough that if you had a man and a woman who were living in a relationship, they hadn't been married yet, but they were fornicating, the woman would get knocked up eventually. And they got to do something. The man has to, he's got to buy what he broke. You break it, you buy it. Shotgun weddings, right? All of a sudden, you have to have this kid. The state isn't going to provide for you, so you need the man to provide for you. And even in degenerate, decadent cities and cultures, without access to abortion or contraception, you have family units, families that are forced to begin and forced to survive. And this is much healthier than what we have now, where tons of people are just born and they live with one parent, or they live with one parent and they see their other parent on the weekends or on certain days, and there's custody battles, and there's child support, and there's divorces, and there's divorce court, and there's alimony, and it's just a mess. The state has just gotten involved in everything. Yeah, Daniel, you're right. Contraception contraception in some ways, because it led to modern divorce laws and modern child support laws, which is funny if you think about it, because it was supposed to stop unwanted pregnancy, but we still see plenty of unwanted pregnancies in the black community specifically, and these broken families just lead to gang violence that continues over and over again and over and over again, and they're blasting each other, you know, in the streets over crack, and it's a mess. And I mean, the CIA implanted that kind of, you know, they're the ones who brought the crack. At the end of the day, just because the CIA was involved doesn't mean it excuses the culture and the behavior that has kind of evolved around that. Anyway, lads, we've been talking for an hour. We've been having a lively discussion. This has been a pretty good stream. Less people are watching than last time. That's fine. As long as there's an audience, small or large, I'll stick around. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely it goes deeper than condoms. There's so many issues, they stack up together. We can just point to certain things as pivotal in leading to certain conditions. And the thing is that with contraception and casual sex as a sort of accepted concept, they kind of came together. They were pushed onto the scene at the same time. We got to point to everything. We got to shoot down everything. Well, that's good for you, Jim. Hopefully your wife is hot. I don't know. I can't validate that claim. We'll have to take your word on it. That was not an intentional pun, but that's just how it happens. It's funny, right? Oh, Japan is a dream nation? My buddy is a Marine. He's in Japan. He's definitely had some good experiences there, but you walk into a convenience store and you got kiddie porn for sale. Well, it's been drawn by an artist. It doesn't involve any actual children. It's just a drawing. They're very degenerate over in Japan, but we did nuke them. Maybe it happened to do with the radiation. JT Rev, welcome. Yes, the stream quality has risen since the last one. I've made some improvements, some slight improvements. This is still mostly an audio thing. I haven't shown much on the web browser. I also just realized I've had my desktop audio muted, so you guys didn't get to hear the Italian guy getting shot earlier in the stream with the bulletproof vest on. But yeah, Japan is... The only reason that people on the right admire it is they have a fetish for Japanese women and for Asian women broadly. And because Japan is a homogeneous nation that doesn't take kindly to foreigners. But at the end of the day, they live a very similarly wretched lifestyle. A lot of men, you know, they live alone for their entire lives. They spend all of their days at work and they come home to masturbate to cartoons and to cuddle up to a body pillow. And a lot of people in America do that too. But that's an export of Japan. That's Japanese culture. Merging with cursed American culture. Yellow fever is a real thing, man. And I'll tell you this much. Personally, the only advantage I could see with having a serious thing for Asian women is that Asian women, they all look relatively similar. And I've heard this is a racial thing where if you're one race, the people in your race, they have so many differences that you can observe. You can tell if they're this or that, and you know, the other races all look the same. No, screw that. That's stupid. The thing with Asian girls is that they usually have very similar facial structures to one another, the same type of hair color, and if you're lucky, they'll have a decent body. The point is that if you like Asian women, you're going to be very happy marrying an okay or average or good-looking Asian girl. You know exactly what you're getting. It's like buying something from the store. That might get me banned, but I don't care. I'm against race mixing purely because it's selfish to the children, in the sense that you're having kids with a woman, and those kids aren't going to look like their mother or their father. They're going to look very, very different. They're not going to fit into either racial category, and this is going to create issues. It's going to create identity issues, and frankly, why not avoid it? Why not just find a woman, a spouse, that doesn't, you know, come from another continent? At the end of the day, most people, they either race mix because they have a race fetish, and race fetishes in general, are not kosher in this house. They're pretty sick in my opinion. Depraved, like, you know, we can talk about that a little more, but when they don't have a race fetish, it's because legitimately, you know, they're in a situation where they actually have a legitimate relationship with somebody outside of their race, which I'd say is rare, but it happens. And it wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't for the fact that race mixing and interracial relations and, you know, the brown mulatto American Ubermensch that they're trying to cultivate, that's such a thing that they're pushing that there has to be a reaction against it. This isn't 1748 where, oh, this guy in the East Indian Company picked up an Indian wife. Wow. A British guy and an Indian girl. I mean, okay. All right. That doesn't really matter on the grand scale of things. It's not like he is going to create chaos and, you know, be a contributing factor to racial chaos and polarization in that nation or in his homeland, for example. Yeah, the media is root. The media is definitely bad, but yeah, they do push these things. If you look at what the media pushes and what they're pushing for, usually that means you shouldn't be behind it. You shouldn't be cool with it. Yeah, I agree, Bob's Town Trees. It's all in plain sight. Would race mixing even matter for Hispanics? I mean, JT Rev, this is an individual case-by-case basis thing. I'm giving advice on, you know, what to do in a personal situation. What I think is the best decision to make. I mean, at the end of the day, let's say that, you know, you're with a woman and she's 1/4 Asian. Your kid is probably going to be alright when it pops out of her. You're not going to have an Elliot Rodgers situation. I mean, maybe. I don't know how genes work necessarily. I don't know the specifics. I don't know the chances on that dice roll. But it's a better situation than going and picking up a wife in South Vietnam. You know, going to the Mama San or whatever and picking your own, you know, take home, love you long time, forever spouse. That's a bad decision. Don't do that. That's very greedy. It's greedy in the sense that you're putting a fetish, your desire for an exotic woman, over the potential fate, the conditions that your children are going to have to live with. And your children come first. Cubans are white. Oh, I think I know who this Daniel is. I think I know this Daniel personally. Because he's saying Cubans are white. And I know a guy who has that name, who happens to be Cuban, and happens to be very strong on the opinion or the fact, per se, that Cubans are white. What do you guys think in chat? Do you guys think Cubans are white? Can we get an opinion on this? Are Cubans white? Okay. Cubans are gay. Fidel Castro, we can argue. Well, actually, he threw gays in camps. So I don't know. That's it's a heated topic. We got to consider all the factors here. Google picture of Cubans. Yeah, sure. Let's look up Cubans. Let's see what they look like on average. Here's some Cuban youth. What do you guys think? Let's computer enhance. Wait, that's not enhancing. Let's open link in new tab. There we go. Here we go. Now we can enhance. What do you guys think? Do they look like white to you? They are mighty dark. I googled Cubans and they are black, literally. I don't get why they get hairstyles like this, guys. Can you see my cursor? I don't understand that. Personally. I've never understood weave either. Lots of black girls get weave. You know, fake hair. Hyperborean genes. I agree. Yeah, this looks Hyperborean to me. Let's see what comes up when we look up Hyperborean Hollow Earth. They should all have mohawks, even the women. Oh no, none of these images are particularly funny. I'm trying to think of something entertaining for us to do for the last like 44 minutes of the stream, and I think we might need to watch some not necessarily mainstream content, guys, because we're all about challenging the narrative, right? We're all about getting away from what's accepted out there. So I think we need to look at a video. And this video is one I hope you haven't seen. If you have seen it, you definitely are not going to enjoy it. Or maybe you will. I don't know if there's any flat earthers in the chat. But here, I will show you. We're going to look up something, and it's going to sound really cursed. There we go. Okay. Take that in for a second. Oh, one moment. I'm getting a phone call, guys. Ah, great. An exclusive announcement from Marriott Hotel. I shouldn't have even picked it up. But what do you guys think about this? Sausage Party reveals the Flat Earth exit, the energy extraction matrix, and blood over intent. Listen, Jim, we're not more so going to be discussing the Flat Earth in this video. We're going to be discussing how this guy's basically selling Gnostic theology, neo-Gnostic, in the sense that it's internet Gnosticism. It's all mashed together. And he believes that at the center of the flat earth plane, there's living waters, and there's an energy extraction matrix that takes your soul out of your body from the moon or something. It's a mess. Oh, you want to watch a better video? The point here is not to watch a good video. It's to look at something that's pretty stupid, pretty crazy, and I'm very open to anything, really. But when this guy's asking you to drip your blood onto a piece of paper, and in order to bring heaven on earth or whatever. It's kind of silly. It's kind of silly. But there's a lot of people that believe this.
Hey.
We won't necessarily even watch the video. Instead, we're going to note a few things. Maybe this guy is based in Red Pilled. Look at that. Look at that banner. Huh. Anyway. This blood over intent stuff has been pretty common around YouTube. And the first time I saw it, it was related to a guy named Quasi-Luminous. And this guy's completely schizophrenic. And he thinks that he is Satan. And he also thinks that we should drink menstrual blood. So this guy is not based at all. You can probably tell by the fact he thinks we should drink menstrual blood. He worships some sort of divine feminine or something. A lot of these guys do that. It's weird. But yeah, as you can see, this guy's made this whole video called The Power of Drinking Menstrual Blood. Why? And, you know, they're blaspheming the Eucharist and coming up with all this nonsense. But I just wanted to give you guys a brief look at some of the more schizophrenic channels on YouTube. Earn Your Way to the Top Survival is not happy with this content. What do you guys think about this girl he's making the video with? Should I get an e-thought on the channel? Will that help? Will that help me to get an e-thought? Like that? Should I get one of these guys? Think that will help? I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that a girl or not? Earn Your Way to the Top Survival. Your channel isn't schizophrenic. It's quality. It's quality stuff. Yeah, I'm enhancing the image. What do you guys think? Is that a female or is it a man? Just let me throw on a wig. Okay, Jarl. Sure. Hit me up when you buy that off Amazon. Stream earlier for European people? Johnny Gibson? Sure. I get off work around 4. That's why I've had this at 6 EST and 5 EST. A multi-headed cobra. I don't know. Well, that guy doesn't think he's a man. He thinks he's the devil. So, I don't know. She might think that. Who knows what she thinks? Whatever it is pissing blood. Europeans, you're Muslim. So, let's check out some quality content from one of the guys in the chat right here. I'm just going to put on your best video, and I'm just going to let it play.
Put it down! This is an emergency intervention! Put your dick down! Every time you jerk off, the root takes your sperm and turns your brain into mush! Put your dick down and pick up your Bible! Turn it to Proverbs 20:17! Proverbs 21:17! He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. You are a poor man if you jerk off right now, if you eat, if you give into the dopamine, into the root collective. We've got to fight this. We got to fight this, people. Pick up your guns. We're fighting the root. We're fighting the root system. Ah! Ah! Look at those bottles. Look at those bottles. Those are root bottles full of root juice. It's going down, people. Ah! Fuck the root! Don't let it take your sperm! Put down your dick! Save yourself before you turn into mush!
Nice Bubba Mosen. Why did you do this to your Mosen? Why did you do this? Earn your way to the top. See you around, BioBeast. Why did you bubba your Mosin like that? Mosins are red-pilled. Too much autism. I agree, Jim. I agree, Jim. We got to go to something a little more professional and academic and sterilized. So I think we're going to do something really big brain. We're going to look at complicated math equations. We're going to have a calculus talk. Being a atheist Protestant, I should know. Yeah, let's do derivatives, guys. How do I set a derivative up? That way we can do a nice derivative. Oh, we're back to that. Oops. And let's do some calculus. Anybody have any calculus homework they need to do? Because as highly intelligent European men, we should be able to do derivatives in our sleep, okay? European descent, by the way. If you're actually European, I'm sorry. That's going to be an L. C. Can you do electro-engineering homework? No. That's fine, Jim. I meant to say based and red-pilled online men, this is what we got to do. We got to do limits. We got to be big math nerds, okay? You know, I feel like there's a time in a science math nerd's life where he comes upon fractals and he sees a fractal and he's like, wow, bro, this is the meaning of the universe. This is the meaning of the universe, bro. It's a fractal. It's a math equation that looks trippy. Wow. You know, this is what math and science nerds, you know, this is what they masturbate to. I guess it's better than masturbating to pornography, but at the end of the day, this is what gets them going. What if, like, the universe is fractal, bro? Yeah, what if? What if? I don't know, it feels like the new version of sacred geometry. Let's see what people are saying in the comments section. That's usually a good idea. We got anything particularly cringe? No, just a lot of normie comments. Or wait, here we go. Ain't this like the reason why the universe exists? Ah, yeah, bro. Yeah, totally. This made me cry. Ah, great. See you around, Brandon Barkman. I'm glad it was fun. We're trying to have fun and got to be a mix of entertainment and self-reflection around here. That's kind of the goal. At Off the Cup. Off the cup? I mean off the cuff. Glad to see this guy enjoys coding fractals. Let's go to most recent. Maybe we'll get something more interesting. What the hell is this guy talking about? Some Japanese vegetarian? Japan is serious about sneaking tofu substitutes that can pass for meat into every market worldwide. You know, first they turn half a generation of disillusioned teenage men into pedophiles here in America. And now they're sneaking tofu into our markets. I mean, come on. Oh, this is absurd. I don't think this is true. Maybe it is. Maybe we just got a little woke on the Japanese meat question. We'll find some gold in here eventually. No, we shouldn't. We should not all go vegetarian. That would be cringe and blue-pilled. There's no reason to be a vegetarian or a vegan. Meat is most definitely worth any sort of negatives. And in my opinion, it doesn't have any negatives. I've got to be devoted to a non-psychic third eye lifestyle. This guy is all over the place on this video. Ah, yes, Kabbalah. Way of the Jewish Mystic. Bizarre Jewish guide helping you live. Thank you. It's like Judaism, not fundamentalism. Anti-Nazism taking over, and American flags revealing peace. More is in this. Some kind of miracle seems to have occurred. The USA is very safe. Clinton is governing. Jewish mysticism. Ha 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 ha. I'm just so happy I could express this unique emotion that I've always felt and yet I think unites so many. Thanks. The Democratic Synagogue of Japan. No deity goes extinct. President Clinton. What? Environmentalism has happened. A river smiles. I don't understand any of this. Do you want? Let's watch the Jewish mysticism video, I guess. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna unmute it. It's a USA Poke Center, by the way. I'm so confused. What's going on in this video? Speed it up. This is a synagogue in Japan, guys. I'm so confused. Is this the guy filming? He doesn't look Japanese to me. He doesn't look Japanese to me, guys. Yeah, this is one interesting character. Pagan anti-theft. Maiden/Muriachi Groceries House of Anime 16-year-old girl claims to be GF. What? What do you want me to enhance, Earn Your Way to the Top? Is one of these thumbnails? This guy only has 11 subscribers. Yi Ching, Perfect Asian Marriage, Perfect Asian Family. Walter Johnson HS, Police Make Arrest Us. 15-year-old girl plans trip on HBWR, scared non-sexual? This guy is, let's just say, I don't know. I don't think he should be in Japan talking about all of these 15 and 16-year-old girls. Well, that's your average Japanese person. What else can we find on the Best Fractal Zooms channel? Yeah, true Japanese guy. Oh, there he is. He's there again. Anybody else that's insane? Some New Agers, please. I want to find some New Agers here. That anime guy's, you know, he's crying. Let's go on this dude's channel. Is there anything? Seattle Medical Cannabis Cup Overview. Oh, that's just a liked video. At least 2 liked videos. The Ukrainian Sewage Channel. I'm not going on that, Daniel. Is that like Septic 5? Alright guys, I'm back. Apologies for that brief interruption. But I don't think we should go on the Ukrainian Sewage Channel. Does anybody else have any recommendations of what we can do for this remaining 30 minutes? I know what you're talking about. I forget what his name is. His name's actually in Ukrainian. I've seen the WebMs on WorkSafe GIF. So what's my Innowood loadout? Well, all right. Let me let me do a little bit of a demonstration. I need to get a working camera, and I need to get a balaclava. That way I can hide my identity. Those are my 2 next things on the list. Hello, Drunken Hob. Thank you for tuning in from Serbia. Unfortunately, my AK is Romanian, not Serbian. Oh, oops. Safety was on. There we go. Okay. So, if I had to go in the woods right now, I would grab as many of these steel mags as I could. Toss one into the wasser. And go up into the woods. I have a 74 or 545 AK. But I don't have as many mags or ammunition for that. So it wouldn't be viable for a shit hits the fan scenario. Play heavy metal music, Bob's Town Trees. I'm not a big fan of heavy metal. I apologize. There's my cat going again. Definitely the co-host at this point. Hog, I have not. Zastava is making some AKs, actually. They're going to be sent directly to the U.S. So if I go and look up Zastava Arms, where is their U.S. branch website? Is that it? Yeah. So I might actually get one of these rifles when they come out. They're going to be nice Yugos. I know for a fact that I will just want to buy not this tack fagged up rifle, but just a normal NPAP. Or as they're calling it, the ZPAP. From what I know, they're good rifles. They shoot well. I would prefer an underfolder model. They're not making underfolders. Zastava. It was better when they made cars? Perhaps. I don't know too much about Zastava's cars. Kalishkanov is making an electrical car. If you heard about that. Would, of course, JT Rev. I don't see a reason to get this. Ew. No thank you. Also, no thank you. This is where it's at. You know, look even at the difference in the magazine. I mean, that mag's alright, but it doesn't beat this. The normal steel mag with the lines coming down. That's what I have mostly for my Wasser. Wire stocks are not comfy. I don't care, Jarl. They have aesthetic. Hey, actually, Jarl, would you like to get onto the stream to give your opinion on firearms, since that's the current topic? Let me know, friend. Next time I stream, I will definitely have a devoted guest, right? A co-host. For now, you know, this is just like the last stream where I pulled somebody on right at the end. So Jarl, I'm going to go ahead and pull you onto the stream. We're going to have to do a little bit of basic testing to get your microphone working at the same level as mine. But I'm going to go ahead and throw you a call now. All right, hello, Jarl.
Hello.
So, what do you think? Why do you think wire stocks are not comfortable?
Well, first off, metal stocks in general, even just a metal butt plate hitting your shoulder is not. Now you can counter that by having gear, of course.
Yeah, you can have some sort of softener on the stock. But at that point, the stock is going to lose part of its aesthetic value.
Well, not necessarily on stock, I mean like clothing.
Oh, you're right. Padding, just padding. Actually wearing some layers. So that means that an underfolder stock or a metal stock is better in the winter than in the summer. Because in the summer, you're more likely to wear less layers, and thus the gun's going to kick your ass a little more.
But if you've got nothing to rest your cheek on, you're not going to be much for accuracy, especially if you rest your cheek on a frozen metal stock.
I don't know about that. I mean, you don't necessarily have to... It depends on... Yeah, you're right. You do have to rest your cheek on the stock.
As someone who's used one a lot, even just like the metal butt plate on the end of my Mosin, just button into my shoulder, it gets annoying after a while.
Personally, I would be fine with an East German side-folding stock, which would probably be even worse. I mean, look at this thing. It's not very pretty at all. And, well, actually, it has a look to it that appeals to me, but I can't imagine it's very comfortable to shoot with. Oh, they sell parts kit.
The aesthetic is really in the design of lowering the cost of production.
Yeah.
As such, it's not really, you know, very useful, but...
Wow, $700 for an East German parts kit. That's kind of...
That sounds about right.
That's very high. But yeah, you're right. It is East German. Parts kits are cool if you have the equipment to make them, I suppose. I don't.
Any bits of East German Bakelite are like really expensive.
Yeah, I have one Bakelite magazine. I wonder where it's from. How would I check? It's a 74 Bakelite. You have any idea how I would check,
Maker's
Jarl?
mark on the bottom?
Let me check. Let me go pop it out of my 74. As you guys can hear, I'm having a little bit of trouble. Let me just make sure that the Cobra wasn't busted. Yeah, it's still operational. That's the most valuable thing on the gun. Okay, so I got the Bakelite mag off. How would I check who made this thing?
I believe on the bottom of the magazine.
There's a number 13. There is no mark on the bottom of the magazine that I can see of. No, it's definitely a Bakelite mag, based on the material. Were Bakelite mags made commercially?
There were some attempts at that.
I don't know too much about the quality of Waffen Works. I know that the earlier the better, but that's the type of AK I have. AK-74 is a Waffen Works. As said on the first stream, once I get a chance to actually do some serious shooting, I will probably upload some videos talking about the guns and showcasing the guns I own, because it's definitely something that I am as interested in as history, as religion, as, you know, politics, which in the end, at the end of the day, are rather pointless. But it's something worth discussing. Yara, what all firearms do you own?
I have a lot of older bolt-action rifles that my family has owned.
Yeah, there's a lot of bolt guns in my family. We have an M1903 Springfield somewhere. We have...
Among the things that I've bought for myself, I bought a Lee Enfield.
How's that shoot?
It's a tack driver, man. It's a sporterized one, though, but...
that is cringe and blue-pilled. What else have you got?
It was a good price for a sporting rifle. It's really effective, though.
Even
despite its downfall of...
The Bubba. The Bubba.
Yeah, the Bubba-ing.
Here, I will give everybody a visual depiction of a sporterized Lee Enfield. Oh no, the first thing that comes up. Why? Why would you do this?
What was it, an Archangel stock?
No, it's just they put a red dot on their Lee Enfield.
Oh, let me show you. Oh no. Let me show you one I saw the other day.
Yeah.
Oh man. This one was absolute gore. It's an Australian one.
Okay.
And they rechambered it to shoot 45 ACP.
Oh, no. No.
It
no
takes
way.
1911 mags.
No, I don't believe that.
Oh my gosh.
I don't believe that.
Hopefully I can find it fast. Yeah, I know where it is. Oh, here it is.
The Mosin with the Brun. Don't even remind me, dude. Don't even remind me. I don't want to hear about that. You're not talking about a Mosin either. You're talking about a Kar 98. An authentic Kar 98.
Oh, the one with the My Little Pony stock on
Yeah, terrible. Someone had a lot of time on their hands building this one. Enfield action with a 1911 conversion block, 45 ACP barrel with what looks like a number 5 flash hider, AR-15 grip, AR-15 forehand and buttstock, takes 1911 mags. I've had this for several years and it has only had about 3 mags through it. Put a mag of target loads through it over the weekend. Function perfect. Light not included. Postage extra. This just sold for 1,050 AUD, Australian dollars. So this is the state of legal firearms in Australia, huh?
Yeah.
They want to be cool like Americans, so they decide, I'll take my Enfield, I'll chamber it 45, I'll put 4 grips on it, pistol grips, folding stocks, flashlights, rails. Why?
You make do with what you got.
Shit arms. Yeah, definitely. Can you guys even... Yeah, you guys can see this. My live stream was paused. I didn't think it was updating. There's definitely some Bubba abominations. And just like the last stream, I think I'll go on Arms List and see if we can find anything. Let's look up Lee Enfield and see if we can find anything abysmal in the field. That's a sporterized Enfield, but it doesn't look too bad. It just looks like a sporterized gun. Drunken Hog, I know people do disrespect their firearms in America and abroad, clearly, with that Australian piece. Yes, they bring shit posting into real life. I'm trying to see if I can find anything really bad. Doesn't seem like it. We're just getting normal Lee Enfields. We're getting the occasional sporterized Enfield, which is to be expected. And that's really about it. Nothing nothing too crazy.
Let's look at the Australian gun site. I'm trying to look for it right now.
What's it called? It's called useguns.com.au. So
Yeah,
if we
there's
go
a
to
couple.
useguns.com.au. Oh no, they just got air rifles, military rifles, militia. What can you get? It's a 22 with a 10-shot magazine. 22 cal rifle. It's a 22. Oh, it's a Calico.
I actually saw a 9mm Calico on I think it was Gunbroker the other day.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty nice. I had it for a decent price too.
Hey, that is an HK93, which is a nice gun, and I think it looks like a legitimate weapon. There doesn't seem to be anything messed up about it.
Is that an air? Is that like an air gun or? Is that
No, it's
legit
a
rifle?
real H&K model 93, $12,000.
Big if true.
Yeah, you must have to go through some shit to get anything decent in Australia.
Most likely.
The easiest way to find a Bubba gun is to look up SKS, but let's do Mosin this time. That's a little different. Maybe we'll find Earn Your Way to the Top's gun here. Or at least something similar. Yeah, Mosin Nagant with synthetic stock. Look at this. Well, actually, it doesn't even look like a Mosin. It just kind of looks like a different gun. I don't know. It's not too bad.
Some of these are looking pretty nice.
We're gonna find one terrible gun. Oh, we already did. Oh, I gotta save the the image file to open it.
Oof. Archangel stock. You
Yeah.
can inspect elements on it.
Inspect elements. Yeah, let's see what we get. I don't know what I'm supposed to use here, man. I'm not a computer nerd. Anyway.
It's basically how I go to like extract images from Twitter when it won't let me copy them.
Anyway, lads, we've had a pretty good time. We've talked about a bunch of stuff. We spent an hour having semi-serious conversation, semi-serious discussion of topics, and then we spent another hour basically shit posting. That's what I was doing, trying to get a laugh, trying to entertain myself. Next stream, I'll have some topics planned. I'll have a host, well, not a host, a co-host, a guest, and we'll do things different. It's just going to keep evolving, even though I'm not a big fan of Darwinism. That can be another topic. But definitely the stream is going to keep evolving. It's going to get better and better. Hopefully, this will continue to be a nice thing. It's pretty amusing. It's pretty fun for me, and if it's fun for you guys, why not continue doing it? Anyway, Jarl, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you for joining us for this brief moment.
It was a pleasure.
All right. Well, hey, I will see all of you around. Have a nice one.